So guys, I do want to talk about AEW, and I'm a little upset with what's happening with the ROH show. Like a lot of the matches are not really good, and then also spoiler alert, on Collision Night they have a match between Roderick Strong and Dalton Castle, and I'm a big fan of Dalton Castle, but he definitely does not deserve to be contented to be in that match, because if you win this match you will be facing Mark Briscoe. And then also you look at Roderick Strong, who actually did win this, and he's going to be facing Mark Briscoe. And even though I appreciate wrestlers who are trying to be a bigger deal in AEW, because that's really important, that they need a lot of people who want to step up to the plate. The people who want to stay home, let them, Tony Khan has to say, okay, stay home for good, and you're fired. Do some cutting measures, But I appreciate Roderick Strong for trying to be a bigger deal. But as I've said before, that I don't like his Johnny Knoxville glasses. He looks a little bit like Johnny Knoxville. The stuff he did with the stuff that he did with the Undisputed Kingdom being MJF's friend, really. I did a video about how MJF, 5 ways he was helpful, 5 ways he was detrimental. So, the comedy gimmicks was a way that he was detrimental. But Roderick Strong was part of that as well, really. But if you really want to have a main event match, I would not have Roderick Strong. I think the only way to salvage this is that, honestly, if you have the blood and guts match, and then you have, Team AEW do a great job, and then the Undisputed Kingdom come down, they interfere in the match, and they help the EVPs, that kind of ties them Roderick Strong. But I don't think that they're going to do that when that's actually really the best idea to do, really, to just say, okay, now now you want to see Death Before Dishonor, because you want to see, Mark Briscoe get retribution. And then the other thing about it is you have to ask yourself, is their match going to main event Collision? Roderick Strong versus Dalton Castle, because obviously you got to make Death Before Dishonor a big deal, and I don't think that they're going to do that. And I think the big problem with that is the Death Before Dishonor show. Most people don't know this, but the AEW Collision show is going to be a Battle of the Belts for their Texas show, and then the second one is going to be the Death Before Dishonor show, which is $55, and in both cases they're actually charging $55 for it, and that's not good. So I think what they're also going to try to do is be like, okay, since we're charging $55, we do not care about making it a good show, because again, the other matches is Queen Aminata versus Athena, and it's as I've said, Queen Aminata, I really appreciate her trying to treat herself like a bigger deal, her actually working really hard. But, most people don't know who the hell she is, really. You look at Red Velvet, and same thing, she wants to show up for work, but she's kind of done nothing to be a big deal. I really think that you could have had Will Nightingale versus Athena. That would have been the better match. Or you could have done Mark Briscoe versus Christian Cage, or Mark Briscoe versus whoever gets the pinfall in the blood and guts match. So what would happen if you had Mark Briscoe versus Okada, or Mark Briscoe versus Jack Perry, or Mark Briscoe versus Adam Cole all healed up? There's something you can do with that. And what would happen if they had that stipulation, like I was saying, if you actually win the ROH champion and the ROH women's champion and the ROH tag team or trios title, both the women's and men's champions to be defended at Wembley Stadium, and then also they get one tag team championship that's defended, and it should be the trios title, just because I think that they're going to have Jay White's team and Christian Cage's team actually face each other at Death Before Dishonor. That really needs to happen, but I don't trust them to do that. So I just think that, honestly, I've pointed out why I don't think that Dalton Castle deserves it, and I'm proud of myself for doing that, because I know I'm a Dalton Castle fan. So you got to point out when when obviously it's not a good choice. You know, the man loses too much. You can't have somebody lose too much and then they actually are competing for a title. And then the next thing is obviously Roderick Strong would be the heel in the situation, because I think Dalton Castle is over, but they don't book Dalton Castle that well. He's kind of really much a jobber wrestler when he should actually be getting some form of momentum, because people do like him and people like that look. But I do think that that really but as I was saying, that I don't think Roderick Strong's the right person for that, you know. So it's definitely, you know, again, maybe they're trying to be like, okay, since it's $55, we're just gonna make it a $55 show, really. So I do hope that they don't do this, because honestly, AEW, they're working a lot harder to make better television. They still have their ROH issue. They don't really care about ROH, and if they show that they don't care, really, it's gonna just put more negativity on the company. So you're trying to get out of negativity. So make this a really good show. Have matches that are worthwhile, and then something great's gonna come out of it, really, you know. So and then also, people are not going to be happy if you see a huge drop in quality. Like, you know, last year I think they had a show in Texas and they had the Von Erichs and other people. So it's like, you know, you have to really just make that a really good show. If not, then it's like, you know, it's bad publicity at the time. You need some good publicity. But ultimately, do not make shows that are like so cheap, really, just because you want to sell it out. You have to make shows that are very, very compelling and charge good ticket prices. I would rather have that arena, you know, half full or 75% full with higher ticket prices and a better show and a better card than just all sold out, and then you have a crappy card, and then people are going to say, okay, well, we feel hoodwinked and all that, you know. So definitely Roderick Strong versus Mark Briscoe, that's not a good main event. There are way more people that are better than Mark Briscoe, and definitely there's way more people that are more deserving than Dalton Castle. Like I've said, use one of the elite members. Definitely Mark Briscoe versus Jack Perry, that would be a great match. Or Mark Briscoe versus Okada. Or what if you had Mark Briscoe versus, you know, Takeshita, or one of the people from the Donkhouse family. Or what would happen if you had him face, maybe have him face, somebody else, really. That's a heel, you know, or maybe Chris Jericho versus Mark Briscoe. There's way better options. There's way better options, and they're definitely not utilizing that.